Laudetur Jesus Christus. Vatican and World News.
In the headlines this Sunday, December 20th, Pope Francis invites Christians to reach out to those in need during the Christmas season and prays for mariners stuck at sea due to the pandemic. Russia seeks to return a gift in the form of an Orthodox icon which originated in eastern Ukraine, and Mexico joins other nations in imposing strict Christmastide lockdowns. In the Vatican, I'm Devin Watkins. Pope Francis prayed the Angelus on Sunday with pilgrims in St. Peter's Square and prayed for the numerous seafarers who are unable to return home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He said there are around 400,000 maritime personnel currently stuck at sea around the world, despite their work contracts not having been renewed. The Pope prayed that the Virgin Mary, Star of the Sea, might comfort them, and called on governments to do all in their power to return them to their loved ones. Pope Francis also invited everyone to take the time to prepare spiritually for Christmas. We can do so, he noted, by paying attention to those around us who suffer and by contemplating the nativity scene.
È Gesù nella mangiatoia. Quello che soffre è Gesù.
It is Jesus in the manger. The person who suffers is Jesus, said the Pope. He is there in our brother or sister in need, the nativity scene we need to visit in solidarity. He also invited pilgrims in Rome to visit the 100 Nativity Scenes exhibition, which has been placed this year under the colonnade of St. Peter's Square.
Vi invito a visitare I presepi sotto il colonnato.
I invite you to visit the nativity scenes under the colonnade, he said, in order to understand how people seek through art to show how Jesus was born. The creches under the colonnade are a great catechesis in our faith. Ahead of the Angelus prayer on the fourth and final Sunday of Advent, Pope Francis reflected on the day's gospel of the Annunciation. He said God's invitation to Mary to become the mother of the Messiah carried with it both pure joy and great trial. According to the Gospel, Mary was betrothed to Joseph and faced the death penalty if found to be pregnant.
Il messaggio divino avrà riempito il cuore di Maria di luce e di forza.
Certainly the divine message would have filled Mary's heart with light and strength, said the Pope. Nevertheless, she found herself faced with a crucial decision, to say yes to God, risking everything, even her life, or to decline the invitation and to continue her ordinary life. Pope Francis noted how Mary offered her assent to God's invitation with a wholehearted, "Let it be done to me according to your word." He pointed out that in the original Greek, her yes was no simple submission. Mary, said the Pope, actively bound herself to God.
È una innamorata, disposta a servire in tutto e subito il suo Signore.
She is a woman in love, prepared to serve her Lord completely and immediately, he said. The Pope went on to reflect how often we procrastinate in life, even in our spiritual life. He urged Christians to consider in what ways God is inviting us to say yes, especially in the difficulties surrounding Christmas in 2020.
Anziché lamentarci di quello che la pandemia ci impedisce di fare,
instead of complaining in these difficult times about what the pandemic prevents us from doing, he said, let us do something for someone who has less. Not the umpteenth gift for ourselves or our friends, but for a person in need whom no one thinks of. The Pope then warned against letting gift-buying consume our heart ahead of the holidays.
Consumismo, fratelli e sorelle, ci ha sequestrato il Natale.
Consumerism has stolen Christmas, he said, pointing out that the Holy Family filled the stable in Bethlehem with poverty and love, not consumerism. Pope Francis concluded by inviting everyone to prepare our hearts for Christmas through prayer, like Mary's, free from evil, welcoming, and ready to receive God. In other news, Russia says it will return an Orthodox icon which was allegedly written in eastern Ukraine. The gift was presented this week to Russia's foreign minister during a visit to Bosnia-Herzegovina. As Stefan Boss reports, the announcement came after the gift triggered a protest from Ukraine.
The presiding Serb member of Bosnia's three-member presidency, Milorad Dodik, gave the icon to Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov. It happened when Lavrov visited the Bosnian capital Sarajevo in recent days, but the icon, which was said to be 300 years old, is believed to originate from eastern Ukraine. It's an area where Russia-backed rebels have fought Ukrainian troops in a 6-year conflict. The Ukrainian embassy in Sarajevo was quickly protesting the present. It wondered how the Bosnian Serb leader came to possess the icon. The embassy warned that the failure to provide the information would mean Bosnia is supporting what it called Russia's aggressive policy and military actions in eastern Ukraine. Dozens of Serbs have fought alongside the pro-Russia rebels in the conflict, which started in 2014. Amid the tensions, Russia's foreign ministry said the icon would be returned to Bosnia, pending a probe by international police organization Interpol to clarify its origins. Russian Minister Lavrov was in Bosnia-Herzegovina as the nation remembers the 25th anniversary of the Dayton Peace Agreement. It formally ended the Bosnian War that killed around 100,000 people of different ethnic groups and saw Europe's first genocide since World War II. At the talks in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as at a meeting with the chairman of the presidency of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Mr. Dodik, we confirmed the principled and firm support of the Russian Federation for the Dayton Accords. The agreement, drafted at an airbase in Dayton, Ohio, was signed by the presidents of Bosnia, Croatia and Serbia, but it divided Bosnia into two entities: the entity of the Bosnian-Croatian Federation and the Republika Srpska, led by the Serbs. Tensions remain between the different groups as the wounds of history have not yet healed. For Vatican News, I am Stefan Bos, reporting.
Several European countries placed new restrictions on travel to and from the United Kingdom on Sunday. The closures came due to concerns over a new strain of the coronavirus that is spreading rapidly in the southern UK. Belgium, Italy and the Netherlands all announced plans to halt flights and trains to Britain. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced Saturday that the new virus strain has led to spiraling infection numbers. The UK government tightened its COVID-19 restrictions for London and nearby areas and disrupted the holiday plans of millions of people. Health officials say the new coronavirus strain is 70% more transmissible, but that there is no evidence it is more deadly or resistant to vaccines. Spain has asked the European Union for a coordinated community response to the new mutation. Separately, in the United States, the Army General in charge of distributing COVID vaccines has apologized to several states for shipping fewer doses than originally projected. General Gustav Perna said he had miscommunicated to 14 states the amount of vaccines they would receive. He added there is no problem with the vaccine, but with the process of distribution. The U.S. has delivered 2.9 million COVID-19 vaccine doses so far. Millions of Mexicans took to the streets to shop ahead of a hastily prepared Christmas season lockdown. The government's announcement that stores will close until January 10th prompted a panicked mass shopper stampede. James Blears reports from Mexico City.
The abruptness of the Mexican government's red alert announcement produced exactly the reverse reaction it was seeking. Literally millions dropped everything and rushed headlong to go shopping, with huge, heaving, close proximity crowds everywhere. The Federal Health Ministry announced more than 12,000 COVID cases on Friday, which is the second highest daily total since the pandemic first hit Mexico in February. Mexico City hospitals are struggling with 85% occupancy, and the adjoining state of Mexico has 78%. Capacity for hospital beds is nearing maximum. Mexico's official infection rate numbers more than 1.3 million people, with almost 120,000 dead. But a survey says that more than 30 million people have been infected nationwide, which is a quarter of the population. Due to almost no testing, the true number is way higher. Mexico's currently the fourth worst affected country in the world concerning mortality, after the United States, Brazil and India. The government's announced that vaccinations would begin this month for the over 80s, January for the over 70s and February for the over 60s, but nothing's happened yet. Some doctors and specialists are estimating that vaccinations won't be available until May or June. From today, only supermarkets will be open to sell food and essentials, so Mexico City is due to become an eerie ghost town. For Vatican News, James Blears reporting.
Briefly, Nigerian forces today liberated over 80 school children who had been kidnapped on Saturday. The children were seized by gunmen while returning home to Mahuta village in Katsina State. Security forces rescued the children after a gun battle. This is the second mass kidnapping of children in the northwestern Nigerian state. And finally, what does it take to be a good preacher? That's what U.S. online and cable TV program Sunday to Sunday aims to find out. The Emmy Award-winning series identifies gifted preachers who pass along their ideas about the preaching ministry. The program was created and is hosted by Father Mike Russo, retired professor of communication studies at St. Mary's College of California. He spoke to Lydia O'Kane about how the series came about and his reaction to winning the coveted Emmy Award earlier this year.
It was quite a niche. I had the idea in my head for 10 years. It's loosely based on another television program called Inside the Actor's Studio that James Lipton created here in the United States, where he would interview a great actor, and you would see a number of film clips or stage plays by the actor, and the actor or director would comment on their work. I borrowed that formula, if you will, for the basic series, where we do an interview with the preacher, do a profile of that individual in the location that they preach, and then hear a shortened or edited version of it. The whole purpose of the Sunday to Sunday program, while it's meant for a general audience in part, it's also meant to be as a teaching tool in seminaries. We have a study guide. We are working on arrangements with a major university to do the beginnings of a program that will enhance preachers.
It's no mean feat winning an Emmy Award for a program, for a TV series. Were you very surprised about it?
Well, one thing is to win it. We won it within 3 years, which is even more amazing, because we're kind of a no-name brand as far as the secular world, but we won. I always say to people that if I told you 3 years ago we'd win an Emmy, you'd say I was delusional. Because it was inexplicable, other than the fact that the people we were competing against, obviously they had, the judges all obviously saw that we had something of value. Plus, the episode that I should mention is with Father Chris Walsh, who is a priest who ministers to a largely African-American community in Philadelphia. The amazing thing about it, the episode, was that we filmed it a year ago, and it was judged the very week of the George Floyd situation here in the States. And the judges may have heard something in that was quite unique, primarily because I began the interview with a quote from the author, Toni Morrison, and asked how we as preachers can bring about racial healing. No easy task, to say the least, but it's something that we're called to do. And I think that resonated among the electors or the voters who voted on our particular award.
That was Father Mike Russo, presenter of Sunday to Sunday, speaking there to Lydia O'Kane. That brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. For more on these and other stories, go to our web portal at www.vaticannews.va. There you can also find all our broadcasts in podcast form. And don't forget to catch the latest updates on our Facebook page and Twitter feed. In the Vatican, I'm Devin Watkins.